How is everyone? I am outside once again. It has just begun to rain very gently, but I'm under the umbrella. So fingers crossed we're gonna make it work come what may. Say hello in the chat as you're dropping in. We're gonna give the algorithms a minute, maybe do a little bit of sound healing tuning here. Ah, there it is. Now we're getting fingers sent crossed, out. We're gonna make it work come what may. Ooh, that's loud. Don't need to hear myself that loudly. Kimberly. Let's see if I can get this rolling. It just started to rain. Good morning, good morning. How are you today? How are you feeling? We're 2 days away from the full moon, North Node lunar eclipse in Pisces. Good morning, Karen. Hello, hello. It just started to sprinkle as I'm outside. Jason's here. Hello. Thank you all for being here. How's everybody doing today? I've got my Princess Leia, Don't Make Me Use the Force shirt on. The moon was red last night. I'll have to check it out. It's still in that final waxing gibbous phase, isn't it? Wow. Very, very interesting. Been struggling to sleep every other day. Last night was my rough night. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, I have my good nights and my not so good nights of sleep. Last night I slept, which is good, but I also got a bit of a migraine yesterday, so it usually encourages me to try to sleep as best I can when that happens, right? Whew, how's everyone doing? How are you feeling with these current energies? Maybe it's impacting your life on a very personal level. Maybe you're noticing things in the collective. We've got so many different energies going on. Kimberly says some anxiety has been higher this week. How does that show up for you? Like dealing with anxiety, does it show up in your body? Does it show up with like emotions, emotionality? Just curious. I know anxiety can present in different ways for people. So if you've been feeling anxious, it could be the lead up to this eclipse and maybe some things that are coming up. Most of the time, Karen says, for me, migraines come on from lack of sleep or consuming dairy or corn. Okay, allergies. Yeah, mine are definitely hormonal and connected to estrogen drops. Yay! Being 50 and fabulous. We've got a plane going on overhead, but I've got my singing bowl here. This is it's trying to get my hair. Whoa. Somehow I'm stuck. Oh, I was stuck in my bracelet. It happens. How is everyone? Say hi in the chat if you haven't already. I'll try to get this humming here for us. Sometimes you have to catch it at just the right. There we go. Here it comes. It just starts very soft. So Kimberly says, racing heart, restless sleep, intense thought patterns. Oh my goodness. Yes, that's a load. That's a load. Anybody else struggling with anxiety? Thank you, Daniel. Hello. What's up? Karen says, yes, anxious about finding the right house and struggling to release the idea of a perfect house and knowing where to make compromises. That's a huge decision. Saul Goodman, hello. Jason has got a little poison sumac on his hand. Let's tell him why, Jason. Did Jason wear gloves? No. I tried to tell Jason, I said, please put on some gloves. I bought you some nice big gloves for you at Costco. When you go do the yard work, please go put them on. So now he has sumac here, where he was using like the weed eater. Yes, yes, yes. Well, it's good to see everyone this morning. Let's start to settle in. Hello, for those of you who may not know me, my name is Stephanie. Welcome to Creators on the Crest. This is a place out here on my little corner of the web where we rise with the tide and align with the truth. Okay, so that's what Creators on the Crest is all about. We get spiritual, we get emotional, we go to all the places, all those dark corners that help us to heal and to know ourselves as individuals and to know our place, our purpose, our mission, all here on the planet, expressing ourselves through this expression of humanness and humaneness in the world. So welcome, welcome. We've got really a fascinating topic, but before I get into things and start doing readings, I just wanted to remind everyone that today's readings are going to be collective. They're for everyone. So I don't do personal Q&A today. However, this upcoming Sunday night, which is also the full moon North Node Lunar Eclipse in Pisces, at 7 p.m. Central Time here on the channel, I will be doing an hour of live Q&A. You come in there, it's for subscribers only, so you have to be subscribed. You come in there, you drop in your question, your theme, or you just ask for the highest and best message from the universe, and you get a little mini reading. So that is Sunday evening the 7th at 7 p.m. Central, and then I'll have another one on September 21st on Sunday evening that evening. So mark your calendars for that if you're looking for those personal messages and you'd like to see more of my style with you personally as a reader, right? So today we're going to get into some collective energies. We're going to be talking about a little bit about the full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces, and then we're going to get into some starseed energies, which I think you'll really be interested to hear my approach to it. I'm not going to be channeling any beings from other star systems, and I definitely don't promote worshiping or giving your energy to something outside of yourself or waiting for your star family to come save you or any of those kind of new age things, right? This is more of an inner knowing. It's the law of what's that called? Correspondence. As within, so without, right? So it's knowing yourself deep within and seeing how that reflects in your exterior world, but it's not going outside of yourself to make those connections. So we do go kind of deep here at Creators on the Crest. This is not just a surface level experience. It is for people who are serious about doing the real inner work, and usually that's who will show up here and participate. We usually go for about 2 hours, so I'll go from now until about noonish, somewhere around then, depending how the flow is going. But yes, this full moon lunar north node eclipse in Pisces. Now, some of the people were sharing in the comments that maybe there's been some anxiety, some sleepless nights, maybe connected to some physical things, relationships to foods and things like that. Maybe our work environments are a bit stressful right now. But these things can also be coming up to catch your attention as well, especially as we approach a full moon that is also a lunar eclipse. Teresa's here. Hi, Teresa. I'm so glad you're here. So this one, because it's actually a lunar eclipse with the North Node in Pisces, we have a lot of watery energies. So first of all, lunar energies connected to the ocean tides, that's watery. Pisces, very watery sign. It's going to get emotional. So some of the anxiety and the sleeplessness that may be going on could be connecting to things that are coming up for release at this full moon. I had felt like that last new moon also felt like a release to me, and I think I was already kind of warming up, because usually new moons I don't feel as big of releases as I do during full moons, but that last one really got me. That last one really got me. So yeah, and I still have things coming up from that. I can feel it. I can feel it. Tressa said, oh yes, Tressa, and I had a reading with Tressa, personal reading yesterday. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for recommending my readings, my personal readings. I absolutely love doing those. Some of my favorite things to do are one-on-one readings for people really going through something. So thank you so much. And I will have all those links are in the description of all my videos if you're looking for that. Yes, please reach out and connect with me. So this North Node, this lunar eclipse also being in the North Node definitely means there's things that we're growing into, things we need, and it's probably overdue, even time for us to begin growing into. So if there's a path that's connected to our purpose that we're meant to be walking, we're being pulled, and we might be feeling a certain way about that. Now, this is going to be a little different. It'll present a little differently in everyone's life because everyone has a different cosmic blueprint, right? A different astrological blueprint. But this one's about merging and relationships. So think merging, flowing, relationships, emotional, watery, also mystery. We get to go a little bit into the mysteries. Pisces is that final house. It's 12th house energy. So it's the 12th house of the zodiac. It's the last one before we reset and go into Aries, which is the first house energy. This is the mystery. This is the spirituality. This may have to do with destiny, calling to you, right? So some of the things that might feel uncomfortable leading up to this full moon and eclipse may be things, very well be things that your body is releasing and informing you that you're releasing. So do your best to ride the tides here, you know, and be in a gentle energy with yourself, you know, because this does have the tendency with some other things going on to feel like we might feel a bit pushed sometimes. And certainly if there's something really important in your life, a milestone or a rite of passage that you've been putting off or ignoring, you will feel drawn, very drawn into that, most likely, almost, you know, to the extent you might feel like this is a little out of control. All right, but if you can learn to flow with it, to just trust in the universe, be a little gentle with yourself during this time, see if you can soften some of your experiences day to day. Maybe this weekend, in preparation for this full moon, which I know most of you have already been feeling. If you're not feeling it, probably today is going to be the day you start feeling it. It would be a good time to do something kind for yourself, to get a few moments to yourself, to just be, breathe, and enjoy time with you and who you are in your vastness, in your wholeness, in your greatness, and in those energies. So we're going to get into an oracle reading first today, and we're going to really focus on connecting to the cosmic roots that we have. Now remember, when I talk about this, I'm talking about what you're going to find from the inside out. So this is not necessarily me delivering a message from external of you, from some star being, you know, I'm not reaching out to some who knows what being and channeling voices or saying dear ones or anything like that. That's not my MO. I am looking for what is inside of us as creators and what we can birth and become aware of through our connection to the cosmos. Not necessarily something that's separate from us, but something that's a part of our greater being. Now, when we're dealing with a cosmic energy, sometimes these are things that in our human day-to-day experience, they're not at the forefront. They're not always at the forefront. They can bubble up through the subconscious. They can just be something that we're connected to, but it doesn't come into our awareness as frequently because we're here on the planet. We're meant to be here in this 3D reality, going through this density and learning about expanding ourselves through that. But as we can connect to these cosmic energies that lie within us, we can really learn a lot about our vastness, our greatness, and where our potentials are. And so some of the time, you know, we sit here and we know we have these potentials, but we remain distant from them, and then our job would be to connect with those potentials through these messages and through what comes through from the inside out today. So I'm really connecting with all of you in the way that you shine from the inside out, and that's what we're going to be bringing out and bringing into the awareness field today. We're seeking what's already inside us, okay? And sometimes that's the stuff that stays the most hidden and we have the most trouble accessing. So we're really gonna ask and intend today for the universe to help us and help me as I put my greater being out there to connect with your greater being, to inform us how these things can be brought to our attention, and then maybe how we can apply them in our life. And again, that'll come down to specific circumstances and everything, okay? And then we'll do some breakout readings, some breakout tarot readings. We're gonna go through 3 different star systems and connections with that. Remember, these would be ones that you may even already be connected to. You already have an awareness that you may be connected to one of these star systems, or you're going to, after the plane passes, you're going to hear the names of these and you will feel something from the inside out, a buzz, a sensation, a vibration of connection, okay? And so here today, we're gonna talk about the Pleiadians and the Pleiades star system, okay? We're going to talk about the Arcturians and the Arcturus star system, which is, well, it's one star, so I don't know if I'd call it a system. And then we have the Sirians, the Sirius star, binary star. Okay, so it's an A and a B. All right, and so that's going to be really interesting to get into those dynamics. I've definitely already been feeling that. Hello, no work today, lady. This is my work. This is my work. This is my passion. This is my purpose. Thank you, Turlock. I'm from the Midwest. I'm from the Midwest. And so USA over here. Sometimes I have a couple people that usually tune in. I have my friend from Singapore on Schumann. And sometimes I have people from the UK tuning in. So if you're from anywhere other than the States, hello, hello, from across the big ponds, right? All right, we're gonna get into this oracle reading, I think. I think it's time. It feels like the vibe is right. We're gonna start out with the Sacred Geometry of Relationships Oracle, because this full moon lunar eclipse is, as we navigate the mystery, as we navigate this watery energy, we're also gonna be navigating relationships. You know, I do want to say too, when I first heard and I was listening to some of the astrologers that I really enjoy and like to listen to their breakdown of the current energies, they were talking specifically about relationships. And I was like, damn it, you know, like I'm very self-focused right now. I'm working on healing something pretty big, some people-pleasing tendencies and some toxicity that has resulted from that. That's my own personal work, and so I'm really like self-focused. Then I realized, you know, this full moon, when we talk about relationships, there's the relationship to yourself, and you can't forget about that or leave that out. Well, you can, but at some point it'll catch up with you. And so Karen's just got back and had to get the kids situated on their homeschool math. Okay, welcome back, Karen. I understand that. I know I've got the kids. Mimi is coming over shortly, and I told them as soon as she gets here, you guys are going to sit down and start your schoolwork. So they're kind of getting a little breather right now. And then this afternoon, we're going to go to the library, because sometimes at home I have trouble corralling them into what needs to be done for their work. So homeschool moms, homeschool mom probs. The struggle is real. All right, but beautiful, right? Real and beautiful all at the same time. All right, so this is A beautiful card for us to start out with. I love the number. I love the colors. I love everything about it. We got number 37, the soul, and I'm about to show it to you. The energy of soul activates our connection to that part of us that is closer to the higher realms, God, or the divine. So this is that connection we'd be looking for. As we're connecting to star family, we want to really be and have that relationship with the soul just vibrating from the inside out and informing us, not just about the part of us that we understand as our human self, but look at all these layers and patterns that can unfold as we radiate out and get to know our greater being, right? The expansiveness of who we are. We're really going to reach into the edges today. And you may be doing that in your own personal way from wherever you are and from whatever's coming up for you. But the soul, what I love about this card and it being the first card out, it really makes it real. It really makes it real, and it really grounds us in the energy of our multidimensionality. This is our heart core essence, the soul, the heart-soul connection. This is everything shining through. This is beautifully representing what I had for the intention today. Now let me try a little, I'm going to try a little poll here, because polls are kind of fun to do. Let me see if I could do this. Which star family calls to you? And when I say family, I just mean, what do you resonate with the most? And we're going to go over Pleiades, and this is always a spelling, Pleiadians. It wants to say Pleiades, that's fine. Arcturus. Then we've got Sirius or other. So let me start the poll and you all let me know if you can see it. I think it should be coming up now. Yes, can you see it? All right, very, very good. I can see it. And you can go ahead and vote on that. I can see votes coming in. That's great. So what of the star families might call to you? Just out of curiosity, we'll just kind of keep that up and you all can put it in there. It's keeping the poll right in front of my face, which is kind of annoying. Usually it kind of goes to the bottom, but I want to keep it up for a minute. I can see some of those things coming through now. All right, so it looks like a couple people have voted for the Pleiades. That's something I felt connected to when I first heard it, and I think it had to do with it being the 7 sisters. That really like struck me. And you don't know, it's okay. This is all new information. Karen says, I can see it, but I don't know what those are. I may have missed that during the math break. Yeah, I was talking about how if you're not familiar with any of like the star systems or anything, that's okay. There may be one that throughout the course of the live, you start to feel drawn to. Or as you look at the names, Pleiades, Arcturus, Sirius, one of them kind of stands out to you. So I'd say if you're unfamiliar, there may be one that kind of takes precedent over the others in your soul, in your vibration. So some people are feeling the Sirius. Okay, some people the Pleiades. Okay, no one's feeling the Arcturus yet, huh? That's okay. And you know, it could mean, yes, it could mean that you have connections to these systems, to these stars. Oh no, who's that? Some big equipment just pulled up here. I don't like the look of that. That looks like it's gonna be loud. Oh well, we might have to take it inside if that's the case. I've had to do that before. I'm gonna have to get Jason to help me if that's the case. All right, I was shuffling the Starry Beginnings Oracle. So I got the Starry Beginnings Oracle here. And we got number 18, Shine Love on Fear. Love will light up the darkness. Look at that card. Now, this one, it's got the red tones and the purples, and we had kind of the red and purple tones. So if you're someone who works with the colors, we do have some similarities there with the soul and the shine, love on fear. But I love this message. I love it. I love it. I love it. I think it's a really powerful message. So we're gonna have to see what these people are doing over here. It looks like something. So if that starts bugging me too much, I may have to move inside. All right, let me check out the poll. Yeah, so we're at 40% Pleiades, 40% Sirius, and 20% other. So somebody has another one in mind. There are some other star systems. There's Orion, right, out there. There may be some other ones, Cassiopeia. But we'll see, we'll see. We're gonna move into the Starseed Tarot here, not Tarot, Oracle, the Starseed Oracle. And we're going to pull a card from here. Why not? Because this whole episode is about star seeds. So the whole concept of star seeds, let me talk about that a little bit, is, you know, I guess you could call it a theory that has to do with that the Earth was potentially populated by beings from other star systems, and or your soul actually is connected to or has come from or has journeyed through other star systems, right? And we have a relationship to those stars through what we learn in astronomy and in school, right? Scientifically speaking, right? We can look through a telescope and see that they're out there, but we also have a relationship from the inside out, right? From the journey of our soul throughout all space and time and all dimensions. So if you resonate with being, like, you know, this isn't all there is to it. You have a soul, you're multidimensional, that there are expansive experiences for every soul in this universe, right? Then you likely have traveled or are traveling. Some of you could be doing this in the dream time to other star systems. I think it was the work of Dolores Cannon. She talked a lot about, you can pretty much in your dream time, if you can get the sleep and get that deep REM sleep, you can go anywhere you want to go. Now, very interestingly here, we got a card from the Starseed Oracle called the Void. And this one is a card that gives us pause. It says, stop and embrace winter, the great cosmic womb. So some of you may be kind of dreading the winter season that may be coming up. Maybe I'm getting maybe a little bit of apprehension about that. The coldness seems like it creates distance for you. And so this is an energy though, and an invitation to really enjoy the pause and embrace the moments of stillness. This could go for any season as well, embracing the moment of stillness. I actually don't always do this, but let me just read a little bit about the void, if I can find it here in the little book. I kind of have mixed feelings about the void and using the term void. So I kind of want to see what the author of the Starseed Oracle says. The question, the reflective question, which I think is really good here. How are you being called to surrender to the unknown mystery of your life? I really like that. That is a question to put that out to you. How are you being called to surrender to the unknown mystery of your life? So maybe in the comments, let me know. Let me know. I'm going to complete the poll there and put that in. Okay, you guys are telling me the noise from the machinery isn't too bad right now. That's good. Jason picks Sirius. Cool. Karen says, normally I love winters cold and quiet. Love, not live. Yeah, that happens to me all the time. I always put live instead of love. Yeah. Jason's not a fan of winters, see? So it could be. But can you answer the question, how are you being called to surrender to the unknown mystery of your life? It's that part that you can't put any expectations around. And if you try to put expectations around it, you're going to be disappointed every time. It says here, everything and nothing exists in the void. It's where all life begins and ends. It's the winter and the womb, the fertile darkness where all things originate and all seeds grow. Now, Jason, you could probably relate to that. Jason is making his own soil for his cannabis medicine plants. And so think about the depth of the soil and how you blend the ingredients. Like some of the ingredients, like the pumice or the perlite, almost look like little stars that could be peppered in or sprinkled into the darkness of the soil. And it can be a very comforting place, like Karen mentioned, the stillness and enjoying that, but it can also be intimidating. It can be intimidating because you don't know what to expect. That machinery just drove down the road. They parked out in front of us and then drove down there. I have no idea how loud that's going to get, but we'll just keep playing it by ear. The void can feel overwhelmingly small at times and huge, but it's also the place where we gather our faith, we gather our trust, right? And I get a lot about like facing fear in this energy as well. So that may be coming up for some of you. If you identify like a fear you have, how might you draw up the courage to face that fear, right? How might you do that? Hold on one second here. Tressa, I added you as a moderator because I was like, you don't have to do anything super special, but you're consistently on. So I've got all my mods on today. Thank you all my mods for being here. Hopefully we can get some more people. YouTube typically shares one of my lives a month out a little bit more, and then you have to kind of clear out the people who are just trolling and looking and commenting, and then, you know, once in a while we get a really good group. I miss Girl Gone. Girl Gone, if you're listening on the replay, Girl Gone Duffner is usually here, but we're missing her today. We're thinking of you, holding space for you. On Schumann sometimes drops in and says hello. The lovely Mirjam from the Netherlands. And she does some amazing work. I'm gonna have to see if she's got a YouTube channel running. Shireen's here. Hi, Shireen. Yay! So good to see you. So good to see you. How are you? Do you relate to any star systems? We're gonna pull a cosmic energy oracle card next. So far we have the soul, shine love on fear, and the void. So we've got quite a bit of mysterious energy. Oh, here we go. The universe wants us to focus on relationships now. Okay, so we got the card Understanding. Understanding is the key to deep connections. So this is coming in on that full moon, lunar eclipse, North Node Pisces energy here, where we're going to be asked to have a little understanding for the people in our lives and really see that we can see if we can enhance the connection through understanding. This could come about in different ways. For some of you, I'm sensing that it might be setting a boundary with someone so that you feel more heard, or it could be you quieting your voice to be a better listener, right? This could be being more present or spending time with someone. This could be asking reflective questions. Reflective questions are some of my favorite tools to use when we're working through the mysteries and the hard stuff, right, of life, because the reflective questions, and Kimberly is very good at asking reflective questions. She always takes it there with me. So like she will ask me really good questions and they really give me pause, but they're to help me have a deeper understanding of what I'm communicating and what I'm going through. So understanding this might look a little different to some of you. We've got a lock and key kind of situation here, unlocking the heart. And as we know, some of these star energies we're going to be connecting to have to do with the heart. Yes. Karen says, I think I have to be more open and bending to the desires of others. So tell me more about that, Karen. That's interesting. Is it a battle of the wills that you feel sometimes? Like, is it like a willpower thing, or is it maybe others' desires for privacy or their own opinions, or yeah, accommodating? Okay. Bending, I don't know, I was a little triggered when you said bending. I'm like, yeah, you don't gotta bend over backwards. You know, the people pleaser in me is like, oh, we don't gotta bend over backwards for everybody, you know, like, been there, done that before, and it didn't get me very far. Right now, you're looking at it from the perspective of what you want in a house. Yeah. Anytime you're working with your partner or anyone to buy a house, like you may want the 2-car garage, they're more interested in the porch, you might want this, they might want that. So it's how to compromise, that compromise. And there was a Frequency Friday I think we talked about, we went deeper into relationships, and it was like navigating, communicating, compromising, negotiation, like how that looks. That was a really good one. I have to try to find that one if you didn't get that one, because it has a lot to do with how we navigate that, especially with those closest to us. I really want to see what the feminine and masculine energies have to say today, so we're going to pull a few oracle cards here, one from the feminine and one from the masculine. The feminine, man, this one has been coming up. Look at how thick this deck is. And I shuffle and I shuffle and I clear, and we get warrior, ladies. Sacred mix of masculine and feminine energy, strength, determination, and courage, but also receptivity, spirituality, and tenderness. Yin and yang are balanced. Warrior. The feminine as the warrior. But this is not the kind of warrior who's violent and who battles, but they will exert directness and strength when needed. But they also have a receptive quality that balances all of that out, and a tenderness. And you know, when you really get to that place in yourself of your own feminine strength and you connect with it, or you see it in someone else, it is very powerful to behold. And so that's what's coming up for the feminine energies here, the warrior. Karen says, I have been very stuck on an ideal, and my partners don't have a vision. They are all more concerned with function and whatever looks nice. And I have had a vision for years that's pretty specific. Yeah, that would be a challenging situation when it's your family. You're all going to be living there. How to appease everyone's needs there. Balance and an open mind. Yeah. So Karen embracing this warrior, you know, she's strong and determined, at the same time receptive, and has a tenderness to her. So where can she accommodate and still honor her own boundaries? How's it working for others? I'd love to hear from all of you. How's this? What are some of the things you might be willing to share that you're dealing with that might have to do with some of these energies that are really pulling your human experience and your soul into a greater awareness? Ooh, the masculine energy comes through with a confession. And look, a mask is being removed. Now, this is really interesting coming through on the masculine energy at this time, this North Node eclipse in Pisces. Masculine energies typically have a little bit, men typically have a little bit of a tougher time being, maybe what I want to say, not always, it's not something you can say for every man, but emotionally processing. And sometimes they store emotions until they absolutely cannot contain them anymore. And so here, I don't know, this could mean for someone in a relationship, somebody's going to confess to maybe a mistake or something that they did. But this could also be the masculine energies removing the mask and actually confessing who they are, more about who they are and how they felt. So this is an encouragement for the masculine to really, during this full moon lunar eclipse, and it's going to be, I didn't mention before, but it's going to be like a 2-week cycle. So this eclipse is coming, and then it's like a 2-week portal. So, you know, plenty of time to get real with ourselves, men, to really like, what do you need to say? What do you need to express? What do you need to process? Can you have that courage to remove the mask there and confess to who you are, or who you need to confess to? Let's see. Tressa says, seeing your child struggle is so difficult for those of us with children. Yes, and we watch them go through a big challenge. This could be, you know, a revealing, something that might come to light, Tressa, for your situation there. Yeah, that could be something that comes up. That's interesting, the man under the mask of a woman. Yeah, that is very interesting. Very, very interesting. Especially with some of the current, what do we say, propaganda and the way the law of gender is being perverted in our world, and convincing people they're not who they were born to be, right? And that they have to change themselves to be accepted and loved, and permanently change themselves in a very physical way. It's very, very, very scary. So that's very interesting. It could be bringing up that theme for some people, you know. If you know, number one, I would say it's just so important for everyone to mind their trauma and mind their healing in life. And that's one of the things we can teach our children too, and give them a safe space for that. But especially under the age of 25, I just think that is a time you're getting to know yourself. It's absolutely natural to have identity crises in different ways, but it does not mean you have to change, especially permanently change who you are, your physicality. You know, yes, you can try on different masks, but at the end of the day, you're going for what's underneath. You're going for who you truly are, and there's no hiding that. It will come to light. That's another frequency that's in the astrology right now, is that things are going to come to light. Those who have been hiding behind a persona or an identity, it's going to be shed for them. So, you know, it's just so important to mind your trauma, mind your healing, be aware of it. When you become aware of it, begin to deal with it, find support, find a safe space where you can process, so that you can work through it. And, you know, our world is not great at caring for the elderly, nor is it great for caring for the young. The brain is not fully formed until 25, till the age of 25. The young need someone that will listen to them, someone that will be there for them, someone that will care. And I just think that's very important. And I think a lot of big major life decisions made before the age of 25 are most likely to change. And so can we encourage our children to explore themselves that first quarter of their life, and really get to know them and their value, and go through the identity crisis and come back and come out the other side. So by the time that brain is fully formed, they're like, okay, now I have some steps to take, I can move forward. But you know, we have a different age for what we consider to be an adult and someone making adult decisions. At 18, the brain is not fully formed, not biologically fully formed, scientifically, not scientism, scientifically not fully formed. So we're going to let people, you know, hurt themselves, cut off parts of their body. I mean, why? You got to ask yourself, because this is about rising with the tide and aligning with the truth. You got to ask yourself these hard questions, right? Especially with the agendas they have out there and the propaganda and everything. That's my little TED talk for that. Kimberly says, showing me where I have been complacent or withdrawn my time and energy. That can be a really informative place. That can be a really informative place, Kimberly, where you've been complacent or withdrawn your time and energy. And sometimes justifiably so. But sometimes we don't take a moment to reflect on that. Oh, I'm noticing I'm pulling back from this workplace or this person or that. Now, is that something that, you know, that you need and that that's going to be helpful? Or is it the freeze, the fawn, the flight response, or a combination of those taking place? Is it something that you know you need to move forward for your soul's growth and you've been complacent? Is there an underlying fear there? And you say that's very fascinating with the masculine. I've been experiencing that with the males around me and the masculine within myself. Yeah. Yes, I mean, that's the whole idea of the law of gender, which minding our trauma, minding our healing, and then understanding the laws of the universe, like really not just understanding, understanding the laws of the universe, one of which is the law of gender, which there exists a masculine and a feminine, and there's purposeful reason for that. And your soul chose to be born in a certain body for a reason, okay? There's reasons for that. There's lessons, there's higher purposes for that. And arguably, if you go and alter that, you could be taking yourself pretty far off course from what you were meant to learn, okay? And this is, you know, we're multidimensional. There's, in my understanding, understanding, overstanding of the universe, there's other lifetimes. There's lifetimes I've been a woman. There's lifetimes I've been a man. There's lifetimes I've been a child and passed out of that lifetime at a young age, old age. Who knows what other beings we've been, right? We're multidimensional. And so really looking, though, as we enter this earth field with purpose for our soul, and we go through these experiences in the body we have, we're meant to heal through that experience with what we were born with, what creator, natural prime creator, God, whatever you want to call it, gave us, right? That's a part of us that's very important to acknowledge. Karen says, I wonder if this is also about women being less emotional and more decisive, possibly. And yes, I've seen that. And how to do that without overextending into masculine energies that become very bulldozing and pushy, because that's not really the feminine way. The feminine way is more receptive. So how do you express, and this is tricky, how do you express, because a lot of what we've learned to be very masculine action, right? How do you express your decisions and your choices and command your authority in a way that's also very receptive? And I think that's what a lot of women are working on and working to figure out. And you agree with, yes, young life needs space to grow and explore and to go through lessons and to learn how they want to adult in the world. I really just feel very strongly it's not a time to mess with someone's physical. I mean, me personally, even at younger ages, being on birth control was really destructive to my body. I'm a very sensitive person. I have a very sensitive physical body as well. And it messed me the F up, y'all. And finally I realized that, and I realized I was going to have to go a different direction with things because the synthetic hormones just screwed me up. It really did. And I mean, that's just like one layer of it. And we have all had experiences, but you know, by the time I was 25, I had realized that. I learned that that was not going to be healthy for me, and I had to embrace a more natural and organic path. And it included, you know, I think Kimberly probably saw me through a little bit of this, because Kimberly and I have known each other since 2012, when everything was like spiritually, you know, going on in 2012, and it was going to be like this new world and, you know, whatever. But, you know, we both have been through that process of eliminating toxins from our life and from our surroundings, and, you know, aligning with the more organic path. Kimberly says our culture and society encourage them to create self-destructive behavior and pull away from the wisdom of elders. Yes, yes, this was coming up. A lot of people have been talking about the disrespect that they're witnessing with young people and adults. Yeah. And granted, there are some adults, you know, quite a few out actually that are out there, they're children still, because they never took the time to really get to know themselves, to mature themselves, to grow themselves, you know, and or they experienced some sort of trauma that has them reacting out of their younger self. So there's a lot of adults out there raising children that are, you know, these adults are children and they're raising children. From a spiritual perspective, that's pretty scary, right? So it takes a really, what do I want to say? Responsible and a resilient soul to really look at themselves on those deeper layers like that, look at their wounding. But that's what we encourage here, and we want that to happen for people in a safe space. But to Kimberly's point, the culture and society tries to use a perversion of the law of polarity to pull everybody into these extremes and the us versus them. And then that's not a platform or a foundation from which we can grow. And so why do some of us see that? Why do some of us adults in our spiritual maturity see that and others don't? They don't even get it at all. Like, it's not even a part of their conversation, right? Why are there not 8,000 people coming to the table for this type of conversation? But Kimberly brings up a good point. The culture and society bombards us with the other stuff, right? And pulls us apart. AM says, Jason, are you using something for the itch? Yeah, so we were, he says, Techno Extreme, which I don't know how organic that is, but we did try to kind of use just a light calamine to treat the sumac first, to kind of dry it out. If anybody has any other organic solutions there, I wasn't sure if keeping it dry with something like cornstarch would be helpful. I don't know if that will help the itch, you know, though, but it's like some of these things do different things. Oh, okay. AM says Trader Joe's Tea Tree Tingle Shampoo. Tea tree, peppermint, eucalyptus, only the shampoo, not the rinse. Oh, really? So you could just take the shampoo and rub it on? I wonder if we could make an essential oil blend with a carrier oil he might be able to put on there. Calendula, yes, calendula. That's in one of the salves that I have, and it's a big part of what will take out itch and sting. Jason has sensitive skin. Yep, we both do. We both have sensitive skin here. Yeah, it's only on his hand so far. It's like kind of right there in that, and there's a pressure point in there too, which would be interesting. We need to look. Does anybody know what that pressure point is right in the web? Because that's where because that could give you a whole other aspect of your healing. And why did it, you know, yes, logically you were holding onto the weed eater with that hand, and you know, something got on, you weren't wearing the gloves, it sprayed up, got on your hand and ground in right there. Okay, physically, but spiritually, what could that mean? That little pressure energy center there, that'd be really interesting to look at. L14, is that what it's called? Nettle. Yep, nettle. You're getting all kinds of ideas, Jason. I'm just saying, we're multidimensional. I got, yeah, large intestine and digestion. Well, Jason has been doing a lot of cleansing. Jason has been doing a lot of cleansing lately with apple cider vinegar, lemon. He's got a special concoction. Yeah. And I'm wondering, he's been doing it pretty consistently for a while, so I'm wondering if there's not, it's starting to draw out some bigger toxins, maybe. So, see, it could be yet another physical connection. I swear the gut is connected to everything, isn't it? Let's get into these breakout readings. We're going to start today with the Pleiadians, then we're going to go to the Arcturians, and then we're going to go to the Sirians. So Pleiades, Arcturus, and Sirius. There are other star beings, other star systems, which would be really cool to get into another time, but we're going to do 3 different breakout readings here. And we're going to start with the Pleiades. And I'll just say real quick, as I was kind of looking it up, because I want to know kind of the astronomy of things, like as well as the astrology, as well as the spiritual aspects of things. So they've always referred to the Pleiades as the seven sisters, because it's like a 7-star cluster. It's also called Messier or Messier 45. They call it an asterism, which I have to go deeper into that. I found that interesting. An asterism of an open star cluster containing young B-type stars in the northwest constellation of Taurus. Okay. Oh, we've got some really knowledgeable AM. Thank you so much. And Karen and Tressa and Kimberly, everybody who has mentioned some things that might help. Yes. Tension headaches related to L142. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, thanks. See, we've got a community that has a lot of good healing tools and tips. I really appreciate that. So we're in the stars in the northwest constellation of Taurus, and I mentioned that because some of you might have that Tauran energy somewhere in your chart. And the Pleiades is the vibrational frequency that goes along with it is heart-centered healing and evolution. And I definitely felt like that the Pleiades, as I was feeling into the energy and preparation for the live, it is connected to feminine energy. So we're going to start with that, with just kind of the understanding, heart-centered healing, evolution, and perhaps the feminine energy, the seven sisters. We could even be considering a group of women, perhaps, or a group of just a feminine energy and how a feminine energy might inform us. Now, we have one major arcana card that has popped out for those of you resonating with the Pleiades, okay, and the feminine energies, and it's the Magician, number 1. Now, immediately, especially looking at these other 2 cards here, and Kimberly's going to love this one because Kimberly is on her own quest in exploring the dark feminine, which I had a mentor. Her name is Sienna Leia, which, you know, I love Princess Leia, so I love it, but she spells a little differently. Sienna has written a book, I think it's called Draw Down the Moon. Anyway, she is living in Ecuador, brilliant, eccentric, wisdom-filled woman, and she referred to the dark feminine as Queen Bitch. And then the dark masculine was King Asshole. So that was her common terms for the themes of dealing with the dark feminine and the dark masculine. And I gotta say, with this Magician coming up, and then the next 2 cards I'm gonna show you, I do think the Pleiadian resonance that anyone has felt today, or if you feel the connection to the Pleiades, it is about the dark feminine within. Or if you're a man, it would be your relationship to the dark feminine. So you want to look at your connections to your mother, your sisters, your female children, right? Your exes. Yeah, dark feminine is making the way. Yes, Lacey, this is collective. Thank you so much for being here. Real quick, I will have personal Q&A, live Q&A on my channel on Sunday evening from 7 to 8 p.m. Central. We would love to have you back. It's for subscribers, so be sure you're subscribed. Come early if you can at 7 p.m. Central on the 7th, Sunday the 7th, or Sunday the 21st. And I do personal mini readings live then. So here we are, we're in the Pleiades, we got the 7 sisters. I was like, yeah, the feminine energy, all right. And boom, the dark feminine is coming up. So this has to do with feminine energy being distorted, or possibly even using her magic inappropriately here. The Magician card comes right after the Fool. And the Magician is kind of the one, if you imagine the Fool is like our souls before we come into this earthly plane, and then we take the leap. The Fool walks off the mountain. Okay, I'm going from where I'm at, and it's really happy, and I have my little dog friend, and the dog's trying to warn me not to go, but I take the leap. I have a lot of courage. I take the leap and I drop into this reality. And here I am with the 4 elements. And here I am with the distorted field. Here I am with the lockdown on my infinite potential, the Ouroboros around the waist devouring itself, right? Here I am up against all these destructive energies, and I'm here to learn elemental magic, and I'm in my feminine body, and I'm feeling this darkness, and I'm maybe even trading out some of my power and my feminine energies to what I'll call worldly power, right? This would be the energies, the dark feminine. She is greedy. She's like a succubus, right? She's a vampiristic quality to her. This is the energy that pits women against one another instead of bringing them together, right? Who knew we were going to get this, that this was going to come up? But in order for us to come together as women and start to build stronger communities and stronger places for the next generations, we have to be able to overcome this dark feminine energy first within ourselves and then collectively, and it can get nasty, okay? And what do you see on Netflix and Prime Video and all this stuff? Women on women crime and, you know, like just this nasty, the cyberbullying of girls to other girls, like, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad, right? So this is a huge lesson for the feminine coming into the reality. And men, you want to not only look at this and acknowledge this darker feminine energy within yourself, right? Because our goal is to bring ourselves into a balanced mixture of feminine, masculine. It's our warrior, but then we have our gender, which we're meant to experience richly and deeply through what we were born to be, right? Who we were born to be. Then we start seeing this outside of ourselves as well. So how does the dark feminine reflect back to you, masculine energies, and what in you was drawn or has been drawn or is drawn to the dark feminine, right? We also want to do a little bit of honoring here, though, on the mystery and the depth and the shadows of the feminine energy, and let some of those organic shadows have a voice and have a place. These are the kind of things that we go through. And when I say organic shadows, I'm talking about things like the feminine body having an imbalance, like a hormonal imbalance or an imbalance in the womb space, where you're working on eliminating, you know, darkness. The womb carries so much energy, and sometimes we expose ourselves to the wrong masculine energy, which inserts its energy into that fertile womb space. We got the void in our oracle reading, which was about the darkness. Is there some healing? Is there some release? Is there something that might need to be done for some of us? This is what I mean by the connection to the stars is really within. So you might think, oh man, it would be so amazing to travel out there and into the universe and everything, and go on a spaceship or something like that with the billionaires, whatever, right? But it's all inside of you. You don't even have to go anywhere. It's just unlocking what's inside of you. Let me see what else here. There's some really good tips for that L114, and you guys know way more about it than I do. Magician was in last Friday's as well. The novice to the hermit, the master, the dark feminine. The fool is like the beginner's mind. What's on the magician's waist? It's the Ouroboros, the snake devouring itself. It's not a very, this one doesn't have a very, it's not a very sharp image of it in this picture. But it's that cycle of like creation and devouring. Mystery, I think. Oh, Kimberly says, instead of the power coming from the mystery of the dark feminine, I think if the dark feminine is of unseen, unknown wisdom. I like that. Yes. And that's more I was getting at with the organic shadows, unseen, unknown wisdom that we have to kind of birth out of ourselves, right? Yes, 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 yes. Love that. Thank you for a reframe there. I really like that. The unseen, unknown wisdom. And it can feel scary. So you have to be able to differentiate between the inverted, nasty queen bitch energy of the dark feminine versus the dark feminine true shadows themselves. And we've talked about this before on Frequency Friday and other readings in my channel, is you have the organic dark and you have the twisted and inverted dark, right? Which is what is mostly on offer here. And the same thing with the light. You have the organic light and then you have like the false light. So it's like organic dark, false dark, organic light. So not only do you distinguish the two, but then there's additional ways to distinguish. And what you're referring to is the organic dark, where the feminine can bring up what is unknown here. And so this is the challenge we have, to be able to navigate it without cutting each other down. And we got a lot of swords here. That's what I wanted to point out here. We got the Seven of Swords, which is a deceptive energy. However, if we look at this from the organic dark feminine energy, this could be us being able to differentiate deceptive energies, right? And we can use this 7 to adjust ourselves into those organic energies, right? And this is going into that fertile dark, okay? This is going to be that fertile dark energy. Sometimes it takes a little bit of navigation. I'm definitely getting a little bit of like navigation here, double checking. You can see how the character has 5 swords. And 5 would represent they're wanting to change something here, but they're looking back. They're double checking. This could be really taking the time to discern and distinguish what is real and what is not, what is organic and what is false. And this card, if we can graduate this card, it is all about really being able to perceive with our feminine intuition and senses what is deceptive and what is real. Hi, Zach. It's been many moons since I got to listen to your tarot. Oh, well, welcome back, Zach. So Karen says, what does fertile dark mean? So do I still have this? Yes, I do. Let me go back here to the oracle card we got. So the fertile dark would be, to use like a nature kind of, and you might have stepped away during this time when I was talking about this, but if you imagine like a really dark, rich soil, that's where you want to plant the seeds, and synonymous with the dark, fertile, dark womb space where the seed is implanted, right? That's what we're talking about when we talk about the fertile dark. It's the space where things can grow, the mysteries can unfold in that space, but it's rich, it's full of nutrients, even though it's very dark and it's very unseen. Like Kimberly was using the word unseen at first. Does not mean it's not fertile, right? Does not mean it's not something like, when you think of like planting a garden and you have that beautiful rich soil, you know, it's full of like what is it, fungal dominated mycorrhizae, and it has all the nutrients and it has all the things in it, and it's the compost is another beautiful fertile dark analogy where new life begins. Yeah, so this dark feminine discovery that the Pleiadian system is informing us. And I think this is important because I think the Pleiades, to me, the 7 sisters, represents women, and they're young stars, so young women coming together. Another thing we lack in this world is space for young women to really come together, where it's actually a healthy thing, right? It's not super competitive. It's not, we're putting other women down to build ourselves up, but it's a healthy thing where we come together, we work together, and we resonate together. Kelly says, yeah, so true. Thank you. You're right. Oh, thanks, Kelly. So this kind of tough, because here we are, and the Pleiadian energy within us is informing us to not be afraid to travel this fertile dark, but to know also and be aware of the inverted energies that are coming up. So we do progress. We graduate that 7. We're like, okay, we're picking up on the deception. We're picking up on all of that. We're changing things here. And lo and behold, we move into the 8 of Swords. So I do like seeing this progression here. I actually really like seeing it, even though the 8 of Swords, you look at this card and you're like, uh-oh, now I'm kind of all wrapped up, you know, a little bit bound within myself, trying to figure out what to do with this wisdom that I've uncovered. Now I can see through the deception. I understand I'm building the relationship with this organic, fertile dark where new life begins. But I feel a bit unsure of my place in this, of how to utilize this energy. But coming into a number 8 brings us into a place of abundance. Usually when we come to light, though, and start to figure these things out, our life starts changing, right? And we can be trying to grasp on to a little bit of security or a little bit of what is known. This could be the energy of people falling away that don't any longer resonate with the awarenesses and the vibrational frequency that you are carrying. But more than not, this is a card of the self and understanding the self and your own dynamics. This could represent, for some of you, this could represent actually looking at the ways in which you've participated previously when you did not have the awareness in the system or in the false dark or the false light, whatever it might be. The way maybe that you were trapped by things that either happened to you or choices and decisions that you made. And so what's really interesting about this card too is that the binds, we don't see her back, but the binds that surround her actually are not knotted and locked, and she can free herself anytime of this. So I think it's a very natural thing for us to move through. And it's very progressive in the sense that we've moved from the 7 here to the 8. And it makes a lot of sense. But it also represents a lot of mental energies that we have to parse through and sort through. The swords are those mental energies. They're representative of the air signs. So some of you having that Gemini, Aquarius, Libra energies there. That could be coming up for you in your chart that way, in relationship to the Pleiades. Very interesting. Excuse me. What do I want to get here? I'm going to go back to the Cosmic Energy Oracle to close off the Pleiadian reading here, and then we'll move on to the Arcturus reading, which nobody picked that in the poll, but I think there's going to be some pretty good messages coming from that as well. All right, what else do we need to know from the Pleiadian wisdom that resonates from the inside of us outward, from that fertile void? That one got sticky there. Yes, it's an awakening. It's the process of discovering your true self. How would you understand your true self if you're not willing to go through the darkness? How would you understand yourself if you're not willing to reflect upon the false dark and understand and differentiate between that and the real darkness? Right? You wouldn't. But through this energy of being the magic, but also making the mistakes, learning how to discern, learning how to see through the deceptions, dealing with it on a very personal level for ourselves, this is part of the process of awakening. And honestly, it feels, I'm getting the feeling of like very revelatory. So it could be you feeling like you're getting to know a whole new phase of your life or perspective of yourself. I'm getting a very like, actually, if I put these two cards together and then I say, what major arcana card might help me in these energies? I think of the Hanged Man or the Hanged Woman. It's sacrificing yourself unto yourself and all of your experiences and everything within, because it's the process of awakening and evolution. That's what's going to carry us into what is next. So very, very, very fascinating and interesting messages from the Pleiadian energies radiating from inside out for those of us who resonated. And that is one I resonate with very much, and it's been an integral part of my journey. Let's get in next to our Arcturian reading, or Arcturus. Arcturus is a red giant star in the northern constellation Boötes. Okay, it's like B-O-O with the umlaut things, T-E-S, Boötes, because I had to look up the pronunciation. And it is the brightest star in the constellation, connected to higher wisdom and protection. And with Arcturus, I've seen it in the sky before. I feel like it reminds me of a Mars energy because it is a red giant. And this is one that I've actually looked at and felt like I've seen it flashing, like red, white, red, white. I don't know if anybody else has taken a look at it ever when it was available to see in the night sky. Kimberly says, real quick, I want to read what you guys are saying. My daughter shared recently that it's been extremely hard for her to create healthy female friendships. Yes, me too. I feel that. That's part of, I think, your journey, Kimberly, and what your mission and purpose is, and why you and I resonate so much. It's to help women, help other women, and bring them out of that false darkness and into what's real. Karen says, that picture is my fear. The Eight of Swords, stuck with the choices I have made. Yep. It's a pretty confining place to be, but also we tend to create cages of our own making sometimes, right? With the choices we made, the decisions, our mistakes, right? But we also don't want to stay there forever in that place. So how do we face that fear? How do we face that fear? We know we need to face it. It's how to go about it. Maybe that position demands surrender. Yes. That would be another way to just, what if you just relax the body and all of those binds just fall off? Surrendering to the unseen and unknown to manifest the new and awakening to a new life. Absolutely. I love that. See, this is why I do what I do, because you all are finding the deeper meanings and you're languaging it in a way that makes sense for you. And I love that. That shows me that community is building itself exactly as I would like. It's evolving. It's people who have a lot of self-awareness and willingness to go into the mysteries here, and really face themselves, which is the journey. The journey of the archetypes of the Tarot is to face yourself and learn about yourself. So that's why it's a beautiful, beautiful tool to use. Okay, Arcturus got a little bit different energy. I did feel like a masculine energy connected to that. So just take that for what it is. I am seeing active, firm, control, forward moving energy with the Chariot. This is a number 7 card connected to the sign of Cancer, for those of you who might be interested in that. Those of you connected to Arcturus, or if you're willing to consider these energies, it does to me feel very much like it is about momentum, but it's about momentum coming from a balanced place, because we have our two sphinxes, our light and our dark, representing like the masculine, feminine energies in balance. And so this is very much that. And maybe there is a little bit of room to have some of the masculine energies come into alignment here. And this would be also on the masculine journey, differentiating between the inversions on the masculine, right? And in the masculine too, because the masculine is active and has such a very physical, visual presence in the world, I am getting that this Arcturus reading is informing us about moving forward in balance rather than from a place of control, where it's like control of resources, war, okay, like war and violence is coming up here in this reading, which I'm not surprised. It's and for some reason, have you all seen the New Zealand tribes do a haka before? It's like a pre-war dance, and it's very fierce, and the men and the women both participate. Like, I would call that like an organic expression. And I would call that something that we could evolve with. They're not actually taking up arms in the dance. They're actually just expressing their ferocity, right? So how can we hold that ferocity, right, and actively move forward with passion and fierceness and boldness and those kinds of energies while still being in balance? And I think that's what's going on here, is we're learning how to move in that way, especially in the masculine energies, because they tend to be more controlling and forceful in their negative elements, in their negative energies. And what's also coming up here, and the reason I bring up balance so much, is we get the Temperance card here. I'm getting, even though this card is connected to Sagittarius, the other card is connected to Cancer, I feel like that fire and water together brings us into more of a Libra energy, right? And it is about that balance. It's about finding the right mix. It's about how can you be bold and how can you be forward moving, forward thinking, passionate and excited, while also holding space for others to find their own portal or catch up to where you're at without, you know, abandoning people when they need you. They could gain something from your wisdom, and that's what the Arcturian energy is coming through as. There's minor energy here coming up in the Nine of Cups, which I really like. This would be the minor arcana card of the star, the major arcana card of the star, connected to Aquarius energy. And it's about a wish. It's about your wishes coming into being, but wishes that are connected to your heart, wishes that you feel emotionally connected to, right? And this, now you'll see here that the protection from the Arcturian energy is coming up. This character is protecting what they've created, what they've manifested, okay? There is a protection with the closed arms there. And I don't think that's necessarily always a bad thing. This could represent the character protecting the wisdom. And they will open their arms and share when someone else is worthy and desiring of that kind of wisdom and information. But until then, they need to protect this knowledge, you know, as sacred, and make sure that the individuals they're sharing with have gone through the rites of passage, have gone through the initiations, and have really done the real work. And just when you think you've done all the real work, you usually get checked and realize there's still more work to do, right? It's just part of the journey we're on. And I feel like here there's a balance between protecting your own energy, your own thoughts, your own tendencies, your opinions, and things like that, while at the same time being willing to temper that and to test out other things, being willing to test your beliefs at times with this Sagittarius energy. Because sometimes, even though what we might be focused on is looking pretty good, and we, like Karen, you were maybe like talking about the house and the vision you have for the house, is there a way to manifest something that's satisfactory to everyone and protects everyone's interest who's going to be living in the house? Is there some way we can find where that overlaps? And that's what this reading is calling to. I think it's going to take action, but it's going to take action that's done in balance, right? So that's just one example. Tressa was saying, yes, it's not a competition. Yeah, especially on those feminine energies, the competitions. I guess maybe it's on the masculine energy too, the competition. It's just I don't know. On the feminine, it can get really, I don't know, subconsciously intertwined. Bubbles and steam, fire plus water makes air. Yes, that's what I was getting with those energies. I feel like that dude is protecting my dreams. Yeah. The character there, and maybe, you know, it's reimagining this as you, as the character, protecting your dreams and your desires, and that they're worthy of protection and they're worthy of inclusion in the decisions that are being made. But how can we find that, you know, and sometimes it's just a really minor place that those things overlap, but that's how we uncover the portals of receptivity, and then we can move forward in that balanced way. Because sometimes this chariot can stall. It can stall out. In some depictions of it, you will see it be a little off-center. In this one, the sphinxes are actually laying down, so it's as if it is still at the moment. It may be representing those times where we are patient. I'm also getting that saying, like, never interrupt your enemy. It's like from The Art of War by Sun Tzu. Never interrupt your enemy when they're making a mistake, right? And so whatever you're perceiving, maybe the enemy is one of your fears. And maybe you're working on overcoming that fear, and you don't want to interrupt it as it's being revealed, as it's being called out, as it's being seen. So it's about using patience, you know. This would not be the energy, because Karen brought up her example, and we're kind of using it. It wouldn't be the energy of you continuing to just drill in every single thing you want in the home. It'd be the energy of you, hey, I've really taken a look at this. These top 3 things are most important to me, but I'd like to see, you know, let's talk about your top 3 things, and let's see if we can see that would overlap, right? Because you're wanting to get clear on that vision so that when you put it out there to the universe, that manifestation will come through for the best of all. And that's just one example. So each of you think about what you're going through, what you might be going through personally, and where do you need to be patient? Where do you need to maybe be a bit more strategic? The masculine energy can be very good with strategy when it wants to be, right? And that would be like a Knight of Pentacles energy, a King of Pentacles. It's more strategy. And that also there's growth in your patience, and there's growth in your stillness, right? That is still happening. It's still growth. Okay, let's go to the Cosmic Energy Oracle here to get a card to close off this Arcturus reading. What else would we need to know or be informed about for the Arcturian energy that resides in us? Ooh, and this is I love this. This is like, it feels like an advice card, you know. What else do we need to know? Well, here's your advice. This ability to be patient, to begin to evolve ourselves, like on an individual level, and then subsequently a collective level. And I am feeling like, you know, things like violent war and those kinds of things becoming obsolete. And as we grow in our human potential, right? One of the ways that this can be amplified and expressed, and also one of the results of this is going to be a deeper creativity. And I love this. Creativity is your inner expression. Unleash it. Unleash it. So as we do this work on some of the tougher aspects of our lives, where we're having, you know, a little bit of battle, a little bit of, you know, opposition going on, knowing that as we employ these different techniques and as we can be more patient, be more steady within ourselves, not get drawn out too soon into something, hear the other perspective, this is going to result in us having an up level in our creativity, right? Or for some of us, it's a restart on the creativity. So if you feel like you've been creatively like blocked or had like a writer's block or a creative block of some kind, this energy would suggest as you're doing this inner work, the creativity has the potential to come back online, which I really love to see. So it may feel like you're going through a season where you have to be more patient, you have to experiment with different ideas and different ways of going about things that may not be your default, and knowing that you're working to manifest, you know, a higher wish. You have a vision for that, but does the universe also have a vision? And maybe if we allow the universe's vision to come in and meet ours, that's where this creativity can then be unleashed here. So I really love that. And, you know, in the times where things feel a bit like they're at odds, doing something creative can actually help dissipate those energies. So it might actually be, for some of you, taking the action, and maybe that's why I got the masculine feel for that, taking the action to do something creative while you're also going through this other patient process of discerning. What might you create? And if we blend the two readings together, what might you create from this fertile darkness or this place where you're at odds? You know, that's where some of the most powerful music and lyrics have come from. When I just think about music and musicians, and it comes from the darkness, right? That organic darkness. Karen always ties into her prayers this or something infinitely and inconceivably better. Yes, yes. And when you ask for that, you have to be in those balanced energies, right? Because the universe is going to indicate to you, here's where you take action. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Here's where you step back and be more receptive. And then all of those subtle cues are going to come in when you're asking for that. So it's about having that clarity, and maybe doing a bit of a creative project might just be what will help you be in that balance and open yourself up to that. It might be in that moment even. Like for me, what I'm getting is like when I take baths, like salt baths, relaxing baths, that kind of thing, I get a lot. I'm very clear. It's a time where I'm usually left alone. I'm soaking, I'm relaxing, I'm breathing deeply, and I get a lot of downloads with water, right? For me, that's just my blueprint. But that is a place where I reconnect with my creativity. But what is it for you? Think about these places and spaces and what it is for you. Maybe it's a walk in nature, or sitting by a tree, or sitting under a tree. There could be different things that bring you into these energies. All right, our last reading today, this is exciting, is the Sirians, the Sirius energy, okay? And isn't it interesting how Sirius, S-I-R-I-U-S, sounds like the word serious, like don't take life too seriously, you know, serious. I think that's always been interesting to me. Now, what's really interesting about this is this star system. It's, first of all, Sirius is the brightest star in our night sky. It's 2 times as bright as the next brightest star in our sky, which is Canopus, like canopy, Canopus. Sirius is a binary star, and it has a main sequence A star and a faint white dwarf companion B star. All right, and if you've studied and go with the theories and the telescopes, what the big telescopes have shown, there are a lot of binary star systems out there. We just happen to be in the singular, our sun as the singular star system, but there are a lot of binary star systems out there. And I think this is interesting because I think that I was kind of relating to the Pleiadian energies with the feminine, the Arcturus energies with the masculine. And this one feels more of like that balance point, but also the sacrifice it takes to get to that balance point, because one of these stars is large and it has the white dwarf companion, and usually the larger star is slowly over time devouring the smaller star, you know, and the white dwarf there. So we're looking at both sacrifice and the devouring of what needs to be released so we can come into these balance. And, you know, I used to have a friend and he would always say, the only thing that will ever, it was kind of pessimistic, I'm not gonna lie. He said, the only thing that will ever unite, completely unite men and women in our world is a third force that opposes and puts both the masculine and feminine at risk. You could think like aliens or something, but I kind of see that dark force as the inverted energies that, if you want to call it dark magic, black magic, chaos magic, that is being unleashed by, you know, a small group of people. That's kind of how I see that energy. I feel like that's really it. I don't think necessarily it means like some scary alien race, which we see in like A Quiet Place and some of these movies, which I love. I love the sci-fi stuff, okay? And I do believe there's other beings out there and everything like that, but I really think for our evolution, it's that inside to out journey. Like we're even creating and changing our relationships to the other beings that may be out there in the universe by doing the work we're doing to evolve ourselves, and our experiences will unfold along those lines. Now, I, for one, do not want the experiences to unfold on the inverted, fearful, false dark, false light energies. Those are all together, by the way. False light and false dark are for the same agenda. I want us to evolve in that organic way where we can make those connections. And if we can make the connections of the balance within, the masculine and feminine within ourselves, the positive and negative charge, the yin and the yang, as we bring that into balance, we are those things. There's no need to change your gender. You don't have to change your gender. No, you're supposed to be having the experience that you're having, that you were born into, right? Your bones will always tell the true story, by the way. But it's about having both energies within and bringing them into a balance and then expressing it. If I have balanced masculine and feminine energies and I'm expressing as a feminine being, the female being, and Jason's over here balancing his feminine and masculine energies and expressing as the masculine being, that's your soulmates, that's your twin flames, not all this other stuff, you know, new age propagated stuff. It's the real balance within. It's the real work within. Teresa said she thought of Sirius radio. Yes, isn't it interesting that they took that term? You're seeing a lot of that. You're seeing a lot of the AI take on Gemini, right? Gemini. What else we got? We got all kinds of technologies taking on these very cosmic and astrological names, very interestingly. All right, going into Sirius. Got a lot of planes today. I don't remember that last time. I don't remember all the planes from last time. Today, there's been 3 that I've counted. Gotta get that tea. Sometimes my voice, like after these calls, I have to kind of take care of my voice and like massage my jaw because I'm talking for like 2 hours straight. But all right, so wow, there's some things. There's definitely some things going on with Sirius here. I do think the main message here is about the abandonment of the self, or the abandonment of the organic journey here. And right smack dab in the middle, we have the Five of Pentacles. And that's why I say that. This is being left out. This is being abandoned. This is being lacking resources. This is our bodies disintegrating. Look at they have injuries. They have issues going on. There's snow. One of them is barefoot. This is being exposed. This is being abandoned. This is being left out. And we can actually create these places within ourselves if we give in to our fears. If we give in to our fears. And so that is something that's coming up here. When we, no, not when, if we are wanting to come into balance, as the masculine and the feminine energies would indicate, coming into a balanced place, we have to address our fear of abandonment. We have to address the ways maybe we've abandoned our true selves in the past. We have to be willing to heal that up. 5 is a number of change and challenge, and it can mean conflict, right? And so with this in the middle, we actually have, let me try to show you all 3 cards. We have the Knight of Wands on one side and the Queen of Wands on the other. And both characters are turning away from the fear here. So we can look at this a couple ways. We can see maybe they're ignoring some of that, right? And when we ignore the fears or the traumas, and we're unwilling to do that inner work to face those, to stay with ourselves and not abandon ourselves, to forgive ourselves and not hold a grudge against ourselves, right? Because we're doing it inside so that we can improve our relationships on the outside as well. This does tie in to relationships around us, but our shifting happens on the inside. That's where we have the most control and the most empowerment, is shifting that on the inside. So interestingly, I don't have a king here. I have a knight. Very interesting. It goes page, knight, queen, king in the royalty cards. And it's that is one angle that we can look at it. Like, do not abandon, like Kimberly says, do not abandon yourself, right? Do not abandon yourself. Do not abandon yourself to your fears. Do not give in to those fears, right? Do not ignore, do not turn a blind eye to that. You also don't have to, though, loop in the shadows, right? This isn't about beating yourself up. It's not about putting yourself down or punishing yourself, right? The good news here is that if we can get these 2 characters to begin to face, so here the knight would face this, and over here the queen would face it over here. They are fire. They are the fire element. This is transformation. And this is passion. This is our purpose and our passion shining through. So if I could actually, the way the cards were pulled, these characters are facing away, but I'm the reader. If I go ahead and move them where they're both facing this abandonment, this betrayal, abandonment, being left out in the cold, and these 2 characters begin to face that energy, then we're all moving into mastery, because they're going to be able to transform it with that fire energy here. It's facing those fears and transforming them, which Luke tells Rey in Star Wars that that's actually the destiny of the Jedi, which I've always resonated. I love Princess Leia because I'm an OG Star Wars fan, but I love Rey too, and I love the Jedi. Just the Jedi to me are like the hermit card, you know. They're the master magicians, but they're not, you know, they still make mistakes. They're not infallible. Tressa says, I've been noticing that too, Gemini. AM says, Tressa, yes, highly annoying, interrupts you constantly. You can disable it. Boy, yeah, I don't have that yet, but I know that sometimes, like, because I say Gemini a lot because I, you know, do readings and study astrology and talk about signs, and so me having that on, it's gonna get picked up, that's for sure. But yeah, I really feel as the masculine energies of the night, the feminine energies of the queen will bring us into the mastery, which would be the King of Wands in this particular case, to overcome and graduate some of these fears. So this is really a message from the Sirius or the Sirian star system to really have a look, at, don't turn away from your fears. And sometimes it's just in acknowledging them, that's the first step, and they begin to fall away. They begin to relax. They begin, once they're noticed, right? Because some of these are like riding on the ego, right? And trying to protect us, protect, because you don't want to feel, you do not want to feel this again. You do not want to feel abandoned. You know, you do not want to, and so there's this like kind of like overexertion, right? And as long as we can quiet that voice and let ourselves know, I am safe within myself. We are safe within ourselves. We have the wisdom of the queen. She's receptive, but she's also very passionate. She's going to be able to take things to the next level. She holds a sunflower, and she has the darkness of represented in the black cat here. So she has a balance. She knows that the top of her wand is where new life comes from, the dark, fertile soil. She's very familiar. That cat is a familiar. She's very familiar with that energy. In her other hand, she holds the organic representation of fire and light in the sunflower. And I think that that is what we want to uphold to ourselves. And when we're looking at these places that feel scary, we shine a natural organic light to it. We offer it something positive. We're going to turn what was once something very scary and something that did not feel good and that felt very isolating into something very beautiful here, and we're going to address it. There are sprouts on these wands. They are sprouting, they are living, they are transforming constantly. And I love here that we have kind of this purple colored horse, and I picked out this deck today. It's like a neon deck that my son gave me for my birthday. And we've got a purple horse here, and that purple is that higher wisdom and knowledge that we talked about with the Arcturian energy. And then we have the very interesting, these golden brooch. And the little V-neck here is peppered with light on the feminine, that heart-centered energy of the Pleiadians, and all coming together in this Sirius energy. And that's where the brightness is going to come from. These wands must come together and illuminate the darkness that has been the fear, right? That has been the false dark. Or actually also like spreading the organic light, the natural firelight, candlelight. This might be, and that might be nice for you guys too, working with like a candlelight or a fire, like to help yourself with some of these energies, or do your meditations with a candle and shining some light on this and illuminating that false light, or pushing that false light out if that's been something. Because the false light can also pull you into an abandonment kind of scenario where you've left yourself behind. And all these things are very sophisticatedly, they're very sophisticated and they're well designed. So if you've fallen trapped to this or victim to this, it's because they're very sophisticated. It doesn't mean you're not aware. It doesn't mean you don't have the tools. It just means it's going to take a little effort and a little work. But I love working with the element of fire for this. I feel like it plays into this creativity. She's using a wand in that card that we just piggybacked off of the Arcturus reading here. So I'm really liking where these things are going for us. Let's pull a card here from the cosmic energy oracle to close this reading. Then stick around. I'll do a few reminders just so everybody knows what's coming up and talk a little bit about what's going on Creators on the Crest. Ooh, yes. And along with the Knight of Wands to the Queen of Wands to the King of Wands, we got discovery. Discover the treasures within and follow your passion, right? Follow your passion. And in this darkness that we're going to make organic and learn from, that's where we're going to discover the truth of who we are and all the warmth we have inside and how we can move forward from this warm, heartfelt place within to really step forward in our passion, whatever that is. If our passion is to inform and connect women through an understanding of the dark feminine, if our passion is to create driftwood art that people can hang in their home that brings love, warmth, and nature into people's homes, you know, what our passion is, whatever it is, bringing that into the forefront and letting any fear connected to that or any interferences fall away and be burned away with that fiery energy. And it also, I feel like in this final reading, I get a sense of like reconnectedness as far as grounding. It feels like the energies then can ground. So there may be some sparky, chaotic energy, but through our work with the natural fire and the passion within us, we can ground. And that's going to be a really nice place to move forward from in our next phase of our journey. Okay. And so very interesting, unexpected too. I love the recent trend with the Uranus energy, because a lot of what's coming up is very unexpected. And I think, you know, it was Karen that was mentioning earlier, you know, I have my desires and my wishes, but I'm also holding space for the universe to bring something even better. I'm holding the space for that, and I really feel that, you know. And sometimes the unexpected stuff that we think we don't want actually ends up being the catalyst for what we do want. So keep that in mind. We're going through a lot of big changes. So here we are. We've entered into the energy already of the full moon lunar North Node eclipse. It's energy we're meant to be moving into. The North Node is the energy that you grow into. It's the wisdom available to be gained. This is going to be for a 2-week period. We're kicking it off here at Creators on the Crest with our live Q&A on Sunday evening at 7 p.m. where you can come on and ask a personal question and get a free mini reading. And if you're enjoying Creators on the Crest, I put links for personal readings if you'd like to connect that way, to my social media, for donations if you want to buy me a coffee or a tea. I drink a lot of tea too. Those are all in the descriptions and you can find those anytime. Those are so appreciated, but we would love to have you at the Sunday Night Live because it's such a good group. More than anything, it's such a supportive group and everybody is just there to empower and be present for everybody else's readings. Very, very, very upstanding experience, and we would love to have you there and help bring clarity. I would love to bring some clarity to whatever questions you have. And if you're like, well, I don't really have a specific question, but this sounds interesting, you will be amazed at the types of questions people come up with. Sometimes they want to hear from their spirit guides or their ancestors. You could ask for a message for that. You could ask for the highest and best message from your very own greater being of what you need to know right now. If there's someone you were close to that's deceased, you might want to ask for a message from them. A lot of people ask about relationships because they want to kind of peek into that. And that's what I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of relationship questions come up because we're moving into this energy with Pisces and we're going to be feeling our way through relationships as well. But I would love to see you there. It's such a great time. Many of you have been keeping an eye on my channel might know that I haven't been putting out a lot of other content. And there's a reason for that. I am getting ready to do a garage sale. So I'm going through a lot of clearing for myself. I'm also learning DaVinci Resolve, which is a new kind of editing software. Before I was just using like iMovie, which is very easy. It's very kind of like starter. Now I'm learning how to put videos together and give them more panache and make them have more fun when you're watching them, like on TV, so to make them more binge worthy. And yeah, I've just, homeschool has kicked up into high gear again. I have 2 kids that I'm homeschooling. I live a very active and full life, and so sometimes that means, you know, my commitments can maybe only be to my lives for this phase of my life. Also, behind the scenes, I'm working on creating a Creators on the Crest membership, which is slow going, but I do put time and effort into it whenever I can. I have a lot of you on the mailing list. I'm working on figuring out how to start to get newsletters out so I can begin to be in touch with everyone. And this is something I've had a lot of blocks and obstacles to, that I know it's my next move. I know it's where I'm going, but I am facing a lot of those fears within myself. So I'm just being very real with you, because I feel like people who work with me, you're gonna know, if you work with me on that deeper level, that I too am going very deep into this and facing a lot of my own fears. It's not just something I'm encouraging other people to do. It's something that's an active part of my life on the day-to-day basis. So there's a lot of exciting things coming up, and I certainly appreciate all of you who are watching live or on the replay. If you're on the replay, please be sure to drop a comment. Let me know you were there. I know some of you work during this time, and who knows, I'm toying with the idea of maybe changing the time a little bit. Maybe there'll be some impromptu lives that I'll be able to squeeze in on my less busy weeks, and I'll be able to do that. But you'll know if you have the subscription hit and you have the the little bell notification, so that you'll get all the notifications. You will know exactly when something new comes out. But in the meantime, I thank everybody for being steadfast with me here and being patient as I re-strategize, clear out so much from my life, and re-strategize and really look to the future. So my best wishes go out to you for all of the wonderful things that you've input today, your comments, your presence, the watch hours and everything. I hope it returns to you 1,000-fold in all of the abundant ways that you wish for. So remember, at Creators on the Crest, we stay true. First we stay tuned. So I already said that. Stay tuned. Make sure you have that bell hit, right? Stay true to yourself and the process and your agreements with the universe, and keep creating. That's the most important thing. Keep creating, creators, that creativity. And many blessings to all of you. I'll see you next time, or Sunday evening.